everyone, Jackie here with Enjoying Life's Journey. Welcome back to the channel. So today I wanted to talk about a topic that sometimes people don't want to talk about. They're afraid they might jinx something, and that is about estate planning or getting what we say your affairs in order. A lot of times people hear this if you're diagnosed with a illness that could be life-threatening and the doctor tells you to get your affairs in order. Or we most commonly see it when a loved one passes and either us or another loved one is left to make sense of everything and what to do. So it might be a touchy topic for you all, but if you've been watching the channel, my grandfather did pass away at the end of last year. I have not mentioned this to you guys, but my aunt, who was living with him and helping to take care of him, actually passed 2 weeks to the day as my grandfather did. So we've been dealing with that. We've been over at the house trying to get things in order, and you know, papers are everywhere, and I feel very sorry for my dad and all of his siblings who have to deal with everything. I've been pretty good at keeping a lot of our stuff organized, but there are some things that we don't have in place that we are putting in place. It's going to be one of our #1 goals this year, and Dave Ramsey actually talks about it in his book, The Complete Guide to Money. He mentions it in that book. He also mentions it in the Legacy Journey, how he talks about how we need to have a will in place, how we need to have a living will in place, a power of attorney, and we need to have our term life insurance, things like that, right? So we want to make sure we have all of our affairs in order. Some of you might say, well, I don't even own anything to have in order. That doesn't matter. The goal is to start when you have nothing or close to nothing, get the basics in order, and then build from there. So for instance, a will, that's going to tell, you know, once you've actually passed. So think of, you know, when you start this whole process, think of the end in mind. And it's actually one of the 7 habits of highly effective people is to start with the end in mind. So as grim as that might sound, think of that. Think about you have just passed. What happens? Who takes care of what? Where do your kids go? Where does your assets go if you have any assets? Same thing in your will, you're going to have your burial. What are your wishes? Do you want to be buried? Do you want to be cremated? All of that stuff would be in there. So your 401ks, your Roth IRAs, any investments, anything that you have, real estate, any of that, all of that goes in there. Don't let your loved ones have to deal with that while they're grieving. So Dave Ramsey talks about having what he calls a legacy box. I actually have what I'm calling my legacy folder. So it's just a simple folder. I don't want to show you guys everything that's in here because it is personal information. But what do we keep in there? Birth certificates, marriage certificate, social security cards, insurance cards, car registrations, copies of car registrations, copies of car insurance, the title to the car. If you own a house, anything related to the house. We're renting an apartment, so we have our lease for our apartment in there. If you have any specific contact information for doctors, we have that in there. Let me look and see what else we have in there. Your bank information, passwords. We have our child's birth certificates along with their shot records. And then if you want to put anything else in there, tax information. So if you file your own taxes, keeping your W-2s or any forms that you need, previous taxes that you filed, copy of that in there, having that information. What I need to add to here that we do not have, which are things that we want to set up and put in place. The first one is the will. Like I said, what happens to our kids? We've already spoke to the people that we would feel confident taking custody of our kids, and they've agreed that they would gladly take custody of our kids if something had happened to us. So Ricky and I are now at a stage where we're ready to sit down and write out a will. The other thing, what is a living will? A living will, and now that I've been having all of these surgeries, if you guys have been watching, I have had several surgeries. I've been put under anesthesia several times, and every time you do that, you are at risk for not waking up. So I feel before this major surgery, we need to have all of this stuff in place. I'm not saying something's going to go wrong, but I've already had a near-death experience coming out of anesthesia after delivering my daughter. So it's kind of like a wake-up call. So don't wait till you have a wake-up call from someone dying or from your own personal health issues. Try to get them in order ahead of time. So we want to do a living will. Basically what that is that's my wishes. If something were to happen to me where I could not physically speak, or I'm in a coma or something like that, and I could not say what kind of care that I wanted. It lays out exactly what kind of care you want if something were to happen. Do you want to be on life support? How long do you want to be on life support? If the doctors say you're pronounced brain dead and you can only operate on machines, do you want that? If you have to have a limb amputated, do you want that? You know what I mean? Like, are you willing to have a blood transfusion? All of that stuff is what your living will is basically what, if you're still alive but you're not capable of making your own health decisions or anything like that, what are your wishes? And you do that, you have that. Then the second one that goes hand in hand with that is the power of attorney. So this is, you're going to designate somebody who is going to make those decisions for you. They're going to be your voice. So if you already have the living will handed out and something happens to you, they don't have to guess what you would or would not want to have done. It's already written out there. They're just the ones that are going to say, yes, do this, or no, don't do that, to benefit you. So these are three things that Ricky and I want to have in place almost immediately. I actually have a friend who is a paralegal. She opened up her own business now, and so I'm going to be working with her. So before I have surgery, Ricky and I will have our wills, our living wills, and our power of attorneys all ready to go. Hopefully we can get it quick. And then the next area, so basically once we have all that information in there, it will be in our legacy folder. From there, we want to get term life insurance. So we don't have term life insurance right now, so I've been getting some quotes. We'll be signing up for that at some point. And then also Ricky works in construction. So Dave Ramsey mentions if you have a job that could, you could possibly get completely injured where you could not work again or something like that, you want to have like a disability insurance. So yes, Ricky is covered under a certain amount with his employer. However, we want to make sure we have an additional disability insurance for Ricky specifically because of the type of work he's in. So that's some of the things that we're doing this year to get our affairs in order, to get our estate in order, is we're going to be getting the will, living will, and the power of attorney finished. We're going to be getting our term life insurance and our disability insurance, so we feel that we are good and comfortable in that area. All of that information will be added to our legacy journey, our legacy folder, and from there I'm going to organize it a little bit more. Right now things are divided by category, but I'm going to add in there kind of like instructions. If this happens to me, here is the folder, and someone can easily read through it and know exactly what to do. Dave Ramsey also mentions to have just a budget in there, so that way people can have an idea of, what is budget. Ricky and I talk about the budget, but I mostly handle the majority of that. So if I were to go, he could easily look in there and say, okay, this is how everything flows, this is how it is. Same thing, we might have a letter in there pertaining to our kids' care, how we would want them to be raised, what kind of schools would they go to, things like that. So that would all be in here. Dave recommends that you have two copies. You basically have your main copy of the originals, and then you make a copy of everything, and you keep that somewhere else. So if, your house were to burn down or something like that, you have it somewhere else. He brought up a good idea. You could scan everything into the computer, put it in a flash drive, and then keep the flash drive in like a safety deposit box at the bank or something like that. That way you have that as a backup, and then you have your actual folder. Obviously, this has a lot of personal and information in it, so you want to protect it within your home. If you have a safe, waterproof and fireproof, but keep it in a safe spot, keep it hidden, keep it locked up, but have two sets. That way, if something were to happen to one, you have the other ones. And also, so that way you guys, there's no guessing. I've just seen my family, my dad is one of 8 children. Their mother passed away during Christmas season about 2 years ago. My grandfather passed away at the end of last year, and then their younger sister passed away a few weeks later. So they are dealing with a lot right now. I'm just trying to get everything in place. And you know, it's sad to see. So if you have everything written out, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Those are your wishes, and they need to honor your wishes. And then it also makes it easy for that. It's out there. It's done. So they can grieve, and they don't have to stress about what to do with everything. I know it might be a little bit of a down subject, but honestly, you guys, no matter how much you have or how much you don't have, you need to have your affairs in order. You need to have your estate in order. Go ahead and pick you up if you want to do a legacy box or a legacy folder, whatever it is, have that stuff in place. So, you know, think of it with the end in mind. If you were to go, what would everybody need? What information would they need? What would they need to do if you were gone? And put it all in there for them. So that way it works out. So that's just one way to be organized. Like I said, so we have our folder. We have some things that we are going to be getting done legally, and then we'll be adding them to our folder, and then we will be, I'm just going to organize it up a little bit as well. Dave Ramsey does mention that you might want to put a letter, write a letter for loved ones that are in there. I don't know if I'm to that point of wanting to do that. I don't think I could write something out, but you know, if you want to write letters out already, have them in there, so if you were to be gone, there's a letter for them. I think that would be a cool thing to add. So yeah, leave me comments below. Do you have a legacy box or a legacy folder or something similar? What do you call it? What do you use? What do you keep in there? Is there anything I'm missing that you might want to add to it, or that we should add to it? And if you're not doing one, I hope that you go ahead and get everything on board. Because we are minimalist, and we went through the life-changing magic of tidying up, we got rid of all unnecessary paper. So literally the only paper that exists in our house are legal documents that we need in this one folder. So we don't have a bunch of random stuff everywhere. And that's that. Everyone, something happens, we'll have a few people who know where to go to find this, and everything will be smooth sailing, hopefully, for everybody. But yeah, so leave us a comment and join in on the conversation. As always, thanks for watching. I'll see you soon. Bye.